Blueprints, it'll be blueprints. It will not be blueprints, I can tell you that much. Like, it's easier for me to say what it's not gonna be, because there are a few things that I know for sure it's not gonna be. I know for sure it's not gonna be blueprints. I realize that saying that as well, that it might be, because here's the thing, guys. Like, I tend to be in meetings with our producer and our game director, and they're like, they lay out this like idea of like, okay, this is our vision for, you know, the next coming months, and this is what we're gonna do, and what we're gonna focus on. And they say like, this is specifically like what we think, and I'm like, okay, so that means that this is not gonna happen, or will not happen. And then they'll like, a few months pass, and they like be like, now we're gonna include this. I'm like, really? We've explicitly, like, for like half a year gone around and tell people, no, this is not going to happen in update 3 or whatever, and then it's in there, so it's kind of bullshit. So like, one of these things where like, we've been saying for forever that we're not going to add more than, what is it, 8 tiers, 7 tiers, 9, whatever, 8 tiers I believe was the original, no more than 8 tiers. And then when Jace was making a video about that question, he DM'd our game director, and he was like, yeah, maybe we'll add 9 tiers. I'm like, motherfucker, you can't just change your mind like that, dude. So that happens a lot. So but I believe that blueprints aren't going to make it in update 4. I don't believe lights will make it either, because lights is such a big system we would have to like optimize for. And right now, like, so the thing with development right now is, which is why I said previously that we're kind of in this weird zone right now, development zone, is because there are a lot of dependencies for stuff. So for light specifically, there's a dependency of something we need to do right now that we're working on right now. That I don't know, like, it will probably take some time, and it probably won't be done when update 4 comes out. So like, that's work for like update 5 maybe. But it's also impossible to tell, because sometimes things take much longer than you think. Sometimes it's like done before you know it. But yeah, lights is a much bigger system that I don't think will make it up to 4. Blueprints is also a fairly big system, believe it or not. It's a bit of a big system overhaul, kind of, which we're gonna do, I think, at some point or not, because right now it's like, it's a deck of cards. No, sorry, it's a house of cards is the word. Is the idiom. Where like, you start adding one thing and break something completely different in the game. So yeah, those two things I feel fairly confident saying. So yeah, blueprints in this context is if you play Factorio or any other similar game where like, you can select a collection of machines, and you can like copy and paste that easily, or make it easier to build it. And there's 2 parts of it. It's both the technical part. It's kind of difficult for us to like, it's like not a hard feature per se if you were to like start from scratch and make it, right? But the way our system is set up, with connectivity, there's a lot of stuff that it affects. So that's why it's kind of tricky for us to implement. The other thing is that it's a bit of a design aspect of the game that really changes, like, because the whole game is all about like making one thing at a time, similar to Minecraft. Adding like multi-build functionality such as blueprints really changes the gameplay. So in that aspect, maybe like, if we implement that, it's more of like maybe that's a really end game thing, you know, when you've like exhausted all the tiers and you're at the end of the game, and now you're just building to reach the limit, right? Maybe that's when you want that feature. And we're not at that point of development yet. The game is like, we haven't reached the end of the game yet. So that's why that type of development would probably not happen until way later. And I think also like, we fall back a bit on like the current mods that exist, like the area actions mod, and like the macro management mod. Like, those mods exist right now for those people that really are at that point of the game where like, they want to like absolutely reach the end of their line, right? So yeah, That's the long answer to that question.